yesterday. So welcome again to Reset Your Mindset. Oh, goodness. It's so fun. See, I could look at this as I'm a failure. I just was talking about resetting our mindset, and I was going to talk about how we can reframe those limiting beliefs. And I could right now be saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good enough. I can't even figure out my microphone. But no, I get to look at it as like, this is a learning experience. Next time, make sure that the new scene that you put on your technology actually has your microphone improved. So it's okay. It's part of it. You can see that we all get to walk through these growth opportunities. So oh my goodness. So welcome to Reset Your Mindset Day 3. I'm so excited to have you here. Yesterday we talked about the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And so today we're going to build on that foundation by giving a way to learn how to reframe those limiting beliefs into empowering truths. So I wanted to highlight Bonnie's comment. I hope that she doesn't mind, but I loved what she said in the homework yesterday for learning how to start implementing these tools that we are learning. And so I hope you don't mind, Bonnie, but it was such a great response to what you're learning. So she said that I'd like to share an episode which I recently have gone through. My husband Bill fell several times in 1 week, and because of this, I felt it necessary to drop out of orchestra and stop all future lessons. She says, this, I believe, is what we call a closed mindset, all or nothing. After just 2 sessions of Flourish, as she's been spending time with us here, she's decided to continue her lesson throughout the summer and rejoin orchestra in the fall. Her whole outlook seemed to change overnight because playing the violin is something she really feels passionate about, and I really know she does. And despite the fact that she loves her husband dearly, there's no doubt about that, the thought of giving up her music was depressing, right? Because that's something that gives you joy. It fills your soul, and it's part of who you are. So I love the solution that you came up with. Now your instructor is coming every other week to your house so that you can continue to practice, and you're going to allow your husband to gain more strength and heal, and you're going to be able to continue to show up and play your instrument. And it says, where there's a will, there's a way. So, oh my goodness, Bonnie, that is exactly what we're talking about. Learning how to shift from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset, learning how to shift and look at what's true and not that we're stuck. We get to look at that opportunity of change. So today we're going to talk about now reframing some of those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs that we are pouring over ourselves. And reframing is the process of shifting your perspective to see challenges or beliefs in a new light. So we're going to be able to take these things and decide, are they kind? Are they helpful? Are they true? And then reframe them into those things that are true, because so often we hold those things that are negative in our mind, and then we don't see the opportunity for growth or for change. So reframing is about shifting focus from barriers to opportunities. The obstacle is the way. I talked about that on Monday. Learning how to take the things that we're learning and the growth that we've walked through, like me learning from not having your microphone working to being able to be like, okay, this is how I get to do it. Now I know what I can learn from it, and I get to continue on and show up better next time because of what I've learned. So we're going to talk about some different limiting beliefs and then how we can shift them. And then I'll give you some tools to do so. So a limiting belief might say, I'm not good enough. But reframing it might say, this is an opportunity to learn and improve. It changes absolutely everything. We get to have that opportunity to change. And one of the things I was talking about when you couldn't hear me was one of the things that I've always had a struggle about is the way my legs look. I've never really liked how my legs look, except for maybe when I was younger, but I never really cared for them. They're kind of bigger, muscly, and so they've always been difficult. Even when I was younger, I would try to put on pants, and my legs would sometimes have a hard time fitting in some of the styles. And so I would be like, I have the worst legs, I don't like my legs, and I would just go on and on and on about that. And all those negative thoughts were not really true. I didn't have terrible legs. I have legs that are strong. I have legs that are allowing me to run and jump and exercise and do the strength training. My legs, I'm allowed to walk. I have legs that move me from here to there. So they might not be the perfect way that I want to see them, but there's good in my legs. And so I can reframe that thought and be like, I'm grateful that I have legs that are strong and give me the ability to do all the things that I want to do that bring me joy when I'm walking outside or I'm exercising. So we can shift that perspective. I know it won't change the actual look of my legs, but it helps me see my legs in a more positive way. So we get to do that in all different kinds of areas of our life where we can change the perspective of how we're seeing things and look at it where we can grow. So I would love for you to think about like one belief about yourself or your abilities that has held you back. If you're here and you want to share, I would love for you to share it while in the chat today. If there's one thing that's stepping on, like pulling on your heartstrings, thinking, oh, this is one that really is hard on me. This is something that I definitely am hard on myself, or a belief about myself that I know is not true. But I want you to think through those things, whether you share it now or we do it in your homework. But we want to start recognizing the things that we're saying to ourselves that are not true, that are not kind, that are not helpful. I say those words because one of my most favorite books I've ever read was Soundtracks by Jon Acuff. I'll talk about that quite a bit, even in my podcast and other teachings, because it made such a big impact in my life. And so what John talks about is it's really for the overthinkers. And I think that most of us are overthinkers. We're looking at something and then we overthink and we make everything way bigger. So yes, Bonnie, always have a weight problem. That's definitely a way that's a limiting belief that we can think of, because we're only looking at the problem. We're not looking at what we can create. And so we're able to see how we're seeing ourselves, and then get to flip the switch and change that perspective to looking at things in a different way, being able to see who we are and the value that we have beyond what we see on the scale. And so that's a really good one, for sure. So, in Jon Acuff's book, he challenges you to say, is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it true? And I think that so often we are speaking over ourselves things that are not fully true, just like I did with my legs. Like, I have terrible legs. Well, I don't have terrible legs. I have strong, healthy legs that allow me to move lots of places, right? They're maybe not ideally what I want to see them, but they're not terrible. They work. And I should be grateful and thankful that I have legs that work, because there's many people that don't have that ability, right? So we get to shift that perspective a little bit. And so what are you saying about yourself? Is it really kind? Is it helpful? Is it true? Is it moving you toward what you want, or is it keeping you stuck and fixed? So we can do these different things. We can identify the limiting belief, like write it down and start looking at it objectively. What are the things that you're saying over yourself that are not true? And so we can see, what is it that's not allowing us to see things in a light that are true. And so with you, Joyce, with your healthcare, so we have that is something that's maybe true. You don't have health care. So we want to look at that, and is that a limiting belief, or is that something that's true? So maybe we don't have health care, but what do we have? And so we can kind of shift our perspective and think of, what can you control? Because we were talking about that a little bit earlier. I think I talked about it now and not the first time. But what is, maybe it's true that we don't have health care, but is that the end all? Is that all or nothing, like Bonnie talked about in her example? Or is there something differently that you can do to shift that? So sometimes those limiting beliefs will stop us, things that are speaking over ourselves, where we can maybe shift that a little bit and reframe it into something that we can control, or ways that we can step into something, maybe a different perspective. So we challenge the validity, ask yourself, is that 100% true? And then replace it with an empowering truth. For example, this one, I'll never succeed. Instead, you could say, every step I take is bringing me closer to success. Another limiting belief might be, I'm not good with money. Or you could say, I'm learning to manage my finances effectively. How about this? I'm too old to start something new. Or, it's never too late to pursue my purpose. And this one, oh my goodness, I always mess up. How many of you said that? Oh, I always make mistakes. or I'm learning and growing through it, right? So we can take those negative thoughts that we're saying and then reframe them a little bit, shift the perspective of how we're seeing them, and focus on what we can control. So Brian Tracy says, you begin to fly when you let go of self-limiting beliefs and allow your mind and aspirations to rise to greater heights. So let me share my screen here. Screen and me right here. And I'll make sure it's popping up. Okay, there we go. So identifying limiting beliefs. So this is right in your workbook, day 3. So you can keep this, you could print it out, you can look at it and help you as you're looking at the different things that are coming at you. And we can use this exercise to uncover the beliefs that you're holding back and replace them with the truth. So the first one, identify a stuck area. What's one area of your life, business, or wellness where you feel stuck, frustrated, and held back? Maybe showing up on social media, setting boundaries, prioritizing your health, trusting God with a decision, okay? So all those different kinds of areas. So name the thought. What is repeated throughout our belief that you have about this area? So I'm not good at this, like we talked about. No one will listen to me. I don't have time. Ooh, that's a good one, right? So we identify this area that we're feeling stuck. We're going to name the thought of what we're feeling. Then we're going to test it. Is it 100% true? What evidence do you have for or against it, right? So we're going to measure the validity of it. Then we're going to find the root. Where did this belief come from? Was it shaped by a past experience? Is it shaped by fear? Was it something someone said? So, if it's probably not true, 100% true. A lot of the time, those limiting beliefs are not. And then we get to look back a little bit more and see where I got distracted. So where it was coming from, like where did that come from as you're going through that? And then we get to go through that. If we've gone through and we've tested it, we know if it's true or not, and usually it's not. We could find the root of the problem, what caused that issue, and then we could step in and say, okay, how can we reframe this truth? So what truth could you replace this belief with? Use a growth mindset or scripture-based affirmation. I'm growing and learning every day, or God equips those he calls, or progress matters more than perfection. So this worksheet will help you walk through that. I think that we're not going to go over that anymore because I want to make sure we do other things today, but you can use that and it kind of gives you a guide. So as we walk through today, we can definitely see the differences between how we are walking through different things. So quickly, I wanted to say just a little bit about what God's word says. When we, you can see my screen. Hold on. Oh, here we go. You don't need to see all my notes. Okay, so what does God say about our minds? So Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's a great verse. It anchors the verse for teaching, reframing, right? It's the one source, core of mindset transformation, renewing our thoughts through God's truth. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, we demolish arguments and every pretense that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. We get to reframe. Reframing is about capturing those lies, right? And those limiting beliefs that we're believing and replace them. We want to replace them with what God says, what's true, right? What's kind, what's helpful. What does God say? And I love the paraphrase of the Message from Philippians 4:8-9. It says, summing it all up, friends, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. Put into practice what you learned from me, what you heard and saw and realized. Do that, and God, who makes everything work together, will work you into his most excellent harmonies. Oh, so good. We get to learn to filter our thoughts through the lens of what God says, what God sees. And when the more we fill it up with his truth and the truth that's around us, and we move away from those lies, we're able to step in and really see the truth, and those limiting beliefs have less room to fill our hearts and our minds. So I want you to think about the limiting beliefs that you've identified today or even this week as we've walked through the last couple of days. And I want you to take some time in your homework to write down a new truth, a truth-filled statement to replace it. So what's one lie you've believed and what's the truth you want to declare instead? So I would really encourage you to step into the homework. I'll post that here in just a little bit once we're done into day 3. And you have the same things in your workbook as well, so that you can walk through and decipher, what's a lie that you believe, what's the truth you want to declare instead. And there's a few more questions in there as well. But I would love for you to share that in your homework because it's so important for us to help and learn from each other. Just like Bonnie's example earlier today that I shared, she was able to share what she's learning, and that helps all of us and encourages us. And maybe someone that's more afraid to share something might be more empowered to share because they see that they've seen, and it doesn't hurt. It really helps all of us grow. And so I encourage you to do that. For today's affirmation, remember, I like to put those in the homework as well. So try to repeat this over yourself a couple different times and keep these somewhere so that you have them, because just because the week is done doesn't mean that you can't continue to say these. But it says, I have the power to renew my mind and speak truth over my life. So not a hard one to say, but it's really important that we speak these things over our hearts and minds. And what's awesome is tomorrow we're going to walk through and actually write some of our own affirmations. And so definitely do the work tonight to see if maybe those few limiting beliefs that we're holding on to, at least one or two, at least, okay? And then tomorrow we'll go in and we'll start walking through reframing those into something that's true, that's honorable, that's right, that's going to pursue you or push you forward or pull you more towards what you want to create. Okay, so I am hopefully this was helpful to you, and I know it's really just scratching the surface. It takes a long time. Like I said, I've been working on this for over 7 years, and when I was first introduced to this whole idea of limiting beliefs and fixed and growth mindset. And so each day it's an opportunity to learn and grow. And there's days where I definitely look at things the wrong way, but I'm starting to catch myself faster and be able to reframe them a lot more quickly because I'm teaching my brain how to do that. And so I want to help you do that as well. And then the last thing before we go, I just want to remind you about the Flourish Accelerator that I launched on Monday. And so this will allow us to not only continue to work on reframing our mindset and those limiting beliefs that we have, but then also allow us to propel us into growing into something that's been on our heart, whether it's a business or something else that you really want to move forward and you need some direction and help. The Flourish Accelerator will help you with that. And so I have a beta course. I'll have a limited space available for you to join me in that. So you can check out the link. I can put that in the comments when I'm done with the video so that you can check that out, or message me. Just put Flourish in the comments below if you want to know more information about that, or send me a message. And if you're really struggling with some of these limiting beliefs, or just even identifying them, or understanding even how to reframe them, just send me a message. Send me a private message. You can message me on Instagram at steph.book, or just on Messenger on Facebook, and just let me know where your heart is, because my true hope is that you will start being able to see yourself in the way that God sees you, that you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life, that we're not stuck, but we get to look at what's next and how we can continue to grow together. So friends, thank you so much. I appreciate you listening, and sorry about that crazy you can't hear me, but I'm excited to know that we still got the chance to learn today together. So thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.